Hello, this is Catherine Dubberly, the Answer Lady. I'm a big fan of Kiss Looms. I greatly enjoy mine, and I am cooperating with Kelly at Kiss Looms to make you a playlist of all the basic techniques that you might ever want to know on all of the looms. So welcome and enjoy.
Another way to alternate knitting and purling so as to create a fabric that does not roll at all is with garter stitch. Garter stitch involves knitting the whole row, then purling the whole next row, and alternating those two rows for however long you want garter stitch. So I'm knitting this row. Garter stitch has a couple of interesting characteristics. Whereas ribbing pulls the fabric in from left to right, garter stitch pulls it in from top to bottom. And in so doing, garter stitch gets very thick as it crunches down on itself. So if you need something really super warm, that's it. Now some knitters who are working on the loom for the first time but have done some hand knitting get very confused because for hand knitters, if you knit stitch every row, you get garter stitch. And I'm telling you, you must alternately purl a row. The reason for the change is that a hand knitter knits everything, usually if you're right-handed, you begin with stitches on the left needle and you knit them to the right needle. Then you turn the needle, which means you've turned the knitting facing back to front, and you put the needle that was the right needle, now full of stitches, in your left hand and begin knitting them off again. So effectively, you have alternated knitting and purling. You're just, because you turned the work, you do not have to form the purl stitch with your needles. We don't turn the work, not on this loom. There is, in fact, a way that you can do it if you would rather, and I have a video on this. I could stop now and I could move these stitches to the other side, each one to its opposing needle. Peg, sorry, I tend to do that. These are pegs, these are pins, none of them are needles. I apologize. If you then knitted from that side, you would be doing the same thing that hand knitters do when they alternate their two knitting needles and turn the work. There isn't an especially good reason to do it unless you passionately hate purling, which some people do, so it's an option. But I really think on the Kiss loom you can get good enough at purling not to hate it. That was our knit row that I'm about to finish. Now we're due for another purl row. And just to reiterate, in all of these cases, I have been slipping the first stitch because that's what makes a neat edge on something where the edge will show. If you're going to need to seam the item, for example, you're making a sweater and I'm knitting the sleeve, and I will need to sew the underarm edge of the sleeve together, it's best to go ahead and knit right to the edge from the very beginning stitch. It makes your seaming easier and neater. But for an exposed edge, many of us find this is the way to go. You can see now that I'm going a little faster than I was in the purling demo how easily it can be done. But when I get up to full speed, it's hard for you to tell how the stitch is made, so I went really slowly for the purl video. There we go. And now we would be ready for another knit row.